Okay, start off then by removing the sprocket circlip, the sprocket and the sprocket spacers from the right hand end of the Sturmey Archer and all the wheel nuts. Place the right hand end in a vise, that's the drive side, and undo the cone lock nut on the left side and completely remove it. Place everything down on the bench in the order that you take it off, with the stuff on the left hand side on the left and the right hand side on the right. Take off any washers and spacers and then remove the left hand cone completely. Remove the entire hub from the vise and place the left hand side in it so that the drive side or right side is uppermost. Remove the cone lock nut from the very top. And again, place everything down on the bench in the order that you take it off so you know exactly which direction everything's got to go on the way back. Take off the little lock nut, the tab washer underneath. Now the next thing you've got to do is undo the ball ring. Now these are usually really tight, so place it down on the bench if it's not in a wheel and run off somewhere to find your hammer and your punch, and mine just happened to be up the other end of the garage, of course. And then in the ball ring, no, other way round, son, that's going to tighten it up. That's better. Give it a couple of sharp taps and the same again on the other side, just in case it's forced itself out of round, because nothing coming out of Nottingham by then was particularly circular. And just unscrew the whole lump. Unscrews anti-clockwise and then just pull it out of the shell. Okay, put it back left hand side downwards in the vise. Now what you want to do is undo the right hand bearing cone. Now you want to keep these separate because they are actually different part number for each end of a Sturmey Archer. This particular hub's a Styria made hub, so they are both identical. Now depending on the wheel bearings that are fitted, the clutch spring either will or won't pass through. It hasn't on this, so it's pushed the driver up in the air. Just lift the driver up, place it down on the bench, and then just lift off the ball ring and the two pulls should pop out. Not completely out. Okay, that's taken off the gear ring. Just double check that the pulls and the pull springs are in good condition, and then lift up the clutch spring and don't lose the little cap off the top of it. Place that down on the bench, it'll probably roll away. Next what you want to do is lift off the thrust ring. That's got a little notch in it, as you can probably see there. And then what you want to do is very gently pull out the axle key. That won't be tight. And then lift off the clutch and the clutch sleeve underneath it. And then the entire planet cage should now just lift straight off of the axle. There you go, and that's all there is to it. You've now dismantled a Sturmey Archer AW, or in fact, just about any Sturmey Archer hub gear you come across is pretty much the same thing. You can check the planet pinions while you're in there. They just lift out, the pin will lift out the top, check it for wear, and when you put it back in, it's the smaller diameter end is at the top. And that's it. Okay, so reverse order then. Just place the planet cage down over the axle. Give it a wiggle so that all the planet pinions just mesh nicely into that cog. Put on the clutch sleeve, followed by the clutch with the little cut out bits uppermost. and then slide in the axle key through the little hole with the little flats uppermost. That's the bit that your toggle chain screws into. And then place over the thrust ring, which will locate, those little cutouts will locate nicely over the axle key. And then drop on your clutch spring. Or not, that's it, don't forget to do that. Don't forget to put the gear ring on first, of course. Give it a little wiggle and it'll fit nicely over those over the planet pinions. Okay, so dropping on the clutch spring and the clutch spring cap. That's got a little groove on the underside of it, so it locates on the top of the spring nicely. Lower on the ball ring, holding in the pulls, the gear ring pulls. That'll clip over nicely. And drop on the driver. Now you might have to press, depending on the bearing that's in the driver, the clutch spring will either pass through or it won't. On this one it didn't, so just hold it down while you spin on the right hand cone. Now you want to tighten that down finger tight. And then back off between quarter and a half a turn, but no more than half a turn. Then place over the little lock washer and put the lock nut on. And then with your cone spanner and your ordinary spanner, just tighten it up. Okay, take it out of the vise. And then just offer it, just double checking all of those pulls, and then just offer it into the shell and turn it anti-clockwise just to get those pulls in the ratchet in the end of the thing, in the end of the shell, and then just screw it up tight with your fingers. And then with your punch and your hammer, give it a couple of whacks. Just to keep it nice and tight and it won't fall apart on your bike wheel. Now, put it back in the vise with the left hand side uppermost and spin on the left hand cone. And what you want to do to adjust it, you just want to wobble the shell slightly, and you just want to take up all of the slack until there's just to the point where there's no discernible slack at all. Just by wobbling it backwards and forwards in your fingers. And drop on any spacing washers that you may be using, and then spin down the cone lock nut. There you go, tighten it all up and the job's a good one. And all being well, it'll spin nice and free without any play. And if you hold the axle and turn the driver, you'll find that the shell goes around a lot quicker, or more revolutions than the driver, because you're in third gear at the moment effectively. And that's it, job done.